people hear me rhyme now, they tell me you sound younger than you did back then. Because my voice is not all strong like that no more. I matured. I don't rhyme the same way I did 30 years ago. You know?
Right.
More
Well,
mature, more relaxed now. You know.
yeah, I mean, people that did record in the 80s that I listen to now, either talking to them or hearing their new stuff, almost always they sound different. So it's a natural,
It's an adaptation type of thing. You have to adapt to the times. And it's not like I don't strive to fit in with what's going on right now or strive to dumb my sound down to fit what everybody else wants to do. I always tell people I like what I do. And they say, what is that? Well, I say, to me, hip hop is boom bap. To me, hip hop, when I got into hip hop, it was two funky breaks on a turntable, and you had to be able to rhyme to that. So even when I started making records, a lot of the records that I like have cracks from samples in it and stuff like that. And to me, those will always be elements of hip hop. Now I know music can evolve and people can like what they like, yet I like what I like. And that's never gonna stop. Even to this day, when I go to make a beat, like even now in 2021, I'm still chopping sounds from the 70s. I'm still using old kicks and snares that certain producers probably never heard before. We still do this. I still talk with Diamond. Yo, Diamond, you got this drum, but you got this one, yeah. So it's still a thing with us. That'll never stop with me. With certain producers, that'll never stop, and that keeps me grounded in soul. That keeps me grounded in funk. So, I gravitate to 2021. But you hear my new music, you still gonna hear boom bap, authentic boom bap hip hop, straight up.
well, that's
That's
a,
what I love.
well, that's a beautiful thing.
A career fanatic, a Large Professor fanatic, a Pete Rock fanatic, a Showbiz fanatic, a Knots fanatic, a Hi-Tek fanatic, a Beaten Up. You know what I mean? The list goes on and on. Alchemist, I can name so many producers who beats I like. This is the rhythms and grooves that I like. It's like I give props to music. If it's funky and I like it, so be it. Yet I gravitate to what I like. 45 King, DJ Premier. List goes on and on. And I know, and I've worked with a lot of unknown producers. There's a lot of unknown producers out here who got some fire tracks. So I'm always, looking to help others, work with the new artists and things of that nature. And I'm always looking for new music, like far as fire tracks and stuff. I try to feature new producers here and there. Definitely.
So as far as producing and getting into that a little bit, I'll get back to Poor Righteousness in a second. But I was curious because did you come into the game with that aspiration, or did you get that from watching 45 King and Cool V, or something else, or what?
Well, I what sparked the thought in me to produce beats was 45 King, watching him work, watching him make beats. And I was a DJ before I ever picked up the microphone. So I was always familiar with different records and stuff. And once I saw the way that he would sample these sounds and, condense it to the hi-hat, condense it down to a kick, a snare, and play his own sounds back, I was really intrigued with that, once I seen how he was making these beats. So eventually, by the time my second album came around, I started delving into it myself. The first one I did was what? Need Some Love. I produced Need Some Loving. I'm grateful. With the help of my man Mighty Maestro, I think he played the keys on there. But yeah, that thought was sparked from 45 King. And then once I met Diamond D, the rest is history. 45 King, Fat Cat Louie. Once I met Diamond, that was that right there. Because I was intrigued with Diamond. Once I heard their first single, I'm Not Playing. I was on it. So we had a show downtown North at this spot called The Sensation. I think I met him then. And he would come and see Mark from time to time. And once me and him connected, the rest is history. I used to catch the train up to Diamond House and see him. I would play beats for him. He would play beats for me. He eventually started working on his album. And that's how I was able to co-produce a joint for his album. The joint called Yeah, I gave him the bass line, the giant handy joint for that. I had came to the studio one day. He was up in Calliope. And like I said, a lot of times we'd just visit each other And he'll ask me, yo, you made anything? I was like, yeah, I pulled it. Back then we had cassette tape. Put the cassette tape in, beat came on. He's like, yo, what you doing with that bass line? I'm like, nothing. Just some shit I just did. He's like, yo, I could use that for the album. I'm like, yeah. He's like, yo, bring it to the house. Brought the album to him, let him have that shit. You know, he's like, yo, I'll give you co-production credit. I'm like, it's whatever, D, you my man. And it's like, I do that now. That's nothing. Like, I done gave certain other producers records. I ain't gonna say no name. I wasn't looking for no credit or nothing like that. Certain dudes will want that credit though. You know, it's like with me, it's like we cool. If I got a record and I play something you like and you want to use it, I'll tell you I'm not using it here. Go ahead. It's all love.
Okay.
I did it for Mark too. It's cool. We done traded records before.
Right. Okay. So with the Black is Back song, did you, because a lot of your early material throughout Poor Righteousness doesn't necessarily have like choruses per se that we've come to know as choruses.
Or hook, whatever, yeah.
But that one, you know, you have the sample of Chuck D, you got some other samples going on in there. Did you, do you remember why you guys chose to have more of a quote unquote traditional chorus or a hook for Black is Back?
Yeah, because it was more so geared toward the first single. So we wanted to have something like that, you know, like sort of hookish. But if you notice throughout the album, I don't really have too many hooks on me.
Yeah.
No, not a lot of hooks on me. Not.
Yeah.
A lot of the hooks came in a way of like the sounds or scratches or something like that. Like Pure Righteousness, clap your hands, right? You know, so I wasn't, you know, doing a lot of hooks and stuff back then.
Okay.
So like with artists using a lot of hooks came a little after that, I'd say.
I agree.
I'd say it came in a little after that. You know, a lot of them focusing on using a hook on a lot of singles. I would notice that artists would use hooks on.
Yeah.
Yet it was never like 45 King had a lot to do with that too. He would always tell me, Lock, every song don't need a hook. This song you don't have to put a hook on it. So a lot of that came from him too.
Okay.
Yeah. 45 King, he'll tell you quick, like every song don't need a hook, you know. And just also, because everybody else do that doesn't mean you have to. Sometimes you can use scratches as a hook. I've heard that on some of Nas, you know, a lot of Nas early works. If you listen to it, you don't have a lot of hooks. A lot of the hooks is scratches.
Yeah,
You know, a lot of the hooks is like scratches or people saying something from a different song. It's a scratch. It's not actually a hook. The hook might be one phrase he said, and then all these collage of scratches coming from different phrases from different songs that coincide with what he's talking about in the song. So, you know, it's just, I think it's hip hop creativity. Some of us will choose to write a hook. Some of us may just pick and choose phrases from other songs and have the DJ cut it in there because it coincides with what they rapping about or what happened. And that end up being the hook. We hear that a lot through Gangstar's career. You know, Primo is very good at that, taking a phrase or a line from another artist and cutting that in on the hook to somebody else's song, and it sounds hot. You know, Dear God, I wonder can you save me? The Evils. You see what I'm saying? Same shit, Jay-Z shit. Dear God, I wonder could you save me? It's no hook, but that's one of my favorite joints on this first album, The Evil, produced by Primo. You know, Primo, I think, is a genius at doing that for artists that don't like to do a lot of hooks. They'll come up with, you know, scratches and stuff and fill it in on the break, you know, in between the verses or what have you. And then you have artists that, you know, is known for doing hooks. You know, so it got to a point where people thought that your song had to have a hook. It gotta have a hook on it. No, it don't. Oh, it doesn't. If you feel that way, so be it. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to have one.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's all on the artist and what they striving to do.
Gotcha.
He grew up on songs like love rapping and stuff, where he just started rapping and he rapped all the way through. There's no hook. And we loved it. You know. Like T La Rock, it's yours. There's no hook, right? All he says, it's yours.
Yeah.
Jazzy J scratching. Bam, man. My Adidas is no hook. It's just they saying my Adidas.
Or
So all that's been, hooks has never been like a real big thing in hip hop. It came and it was established and a lot of artists use it. Yet I tell people you don't have to have it. When you study the history of this, you hear numerous songs that never had a hook. Some of the biggest records in hip hop, no hook.
yeah,
Some of them,
especially
no hook.
well, especially up till the early '90s, even. So
Yeah, up to the early '90s. Yup, you're right. You nailed it in the coffin.
yeah, because just one that came into my mind, I guess maybe the horns, but they reminisce over you. That didn't really have a chorus,
Right. It's like the horn is so funky that you remember that song by the time what's that Tom Scott horn. You remember that the honeysuckle breeze that stands out. Beautiful saxophone riff. Whenever you hear that, you already know. It's
Right.
like it's so captivating when we heard that. We're like, oh, as a producer, I had to search that out. I stumbled over that album one day, came home, put it on, like, this was Pete used.
Yeah.
This is Pete used. I called Diamond instantly. Pete used Tom Scott Honeysuckle Breeze, right? He said, yeah, you got it. I said, yeah. Caught that album on Bloomfield Avenue at an old record shop.
Oh, wow.
We used to buy albums from anywhere. Once I started digging in the crates, everywhere I went, I bought back albums. Went to Germany, I bought back records. Anywhere I went, I always bought some records. Me and my DJ, they like, y'all going record shopping today? Yup. Where the record store at? When I first went to California, I stayed a week with Muggs, DJ Muggs, and DJ Aladdin.
Oh, wow.
This was before Cypress Hill was a group.
Wow.
Me and my DJ stayed with them. They didn't even have no furniture in this apartment. It was downtown Hollywood. Muggs had DJ equipment in his room. DJ Aladdin had DJ equipment in his room. They had plush carpet throughout the whole apartment. Me and my DJ chose to stay there with them. Aladdin took us out to Compton. This was back in like '89. All I knew about gang life back then was the movie Colors. I wanted to know that it was real. DJ Aladdin was like D.O.C's DJ. He was in the
Low
new
profile.
music DJ battles back then. He was real nasty. Anyway, he would take us all throughout Compton, and the funny thing was that we stayed with Muggs and Aladdin for a week. I got to meet D.O.C. I met Sin Dog. I met Coolio. I met Funk Dubious. I met Be Real. All of them before they was a group. They would all just come to the house and chill. And the fact that I had records out, I think Aladdin and D.O.C was working on their first album. They were signed to Priority at the time, but they called everybody and let them know, yo, Lakim Shabazz, stay with me. And everybody was coming through there. That was like the greatest thing. And the next thing that's historic was that the whole time we was there, smoking bud. They smoking bud though in bamboo. So the last night we was there, my DJ asked him, he was like, yo, y'all don't know what no cigars from? And they was like, yeah, what you want a cigar for? He was like, I'm gonna show you. He took us to the store, got a cigar. My DJ bought some Phillies. We smoked the first blunt with Be Real in them. And they'll tell you that to this day. Matter of fact, when Cypress Hill came out, they did a show at Wetlands in downtown Manhattan. He called me on stage and told the world that he was like, yo, Lakim, the first one to ever smoke a blunt with us. Here, you light this up while we perform this song. And I lit up the blunt and they started performing. Yeah, history, man. First ones to ever smoke a blunt was Cypress Hill. And you would think, now, you hear their first album, you're like, they've been smoking blunts a long time. People don't know. Me and my DJ, the first ones to smoke a blunt with them. They were smoking in bamboo. Like when Snoop first came out, he went into blunts. They tell you they smoked bamboo. They would smoke these big gigantic spliffs. Me and my DJ introduced a Latin in them to the blunts. Be Real and Muggs. Yep. And we went record shopping. That's why I brought them up, because I was talking to you about how everywhere I went, we go record shopping. Well, we had went record shopping. They took us, we had went for a long ride up in California mountains and down with to some old record spot. Muggs bought a bunch of records. Latin bought records. DMT bought some records. Came back to the apartment. Played all. You know what I mean? That was beautiful though, man. I think about the history like, wow. I stayed a week with Muggs before Cypress Hill was a group. They didn't even have a name then. They was all just cool. You know, they knew that we was staying with Muggs and a Latin, and they would just come over. Them was they homies. You know what I mean? They coming over, they bobbing Muggs. They could have been working on the album back then, but they didn't let us know. I knew that D.O.C and a Latin was working on their album because they was on priority. But at that time, Muggs and them, I don't think they was even a group. You know?
That's crazy. Because Muggs would have been coming off 783, and they were Dub and Aladdin would have been on the low profile. So yeah.
Right. And the funny thing, the first two nights, the second night in Cali, we stayed with them. 783. Sean and Brett. I stayed with them. And then for the next 3 nights, now we could have stayed in a hotel. I wanted to stay with them. I had the option. To stay with these girls, these college girls. It was on me. I had the option to stay at a hotel. I had the option to stay with 783, or I had the option to stay with Muggs and a Latin. We choose 783 and Muggs and a Latin, like on some hip hop love. And that was one of the greatest things, to stay with Muggs and a Latin, man. That was just beautiful. We sleeping on the plush carpet floor, wake up every day. We got music, working on the beat. A Latin taking us out to Compton. I'm seeing that all that's real. I'm like, oh man, this gang culture is real, definitely. But it definitely gave me a firsthand experience of that. I'll never forget it. I met Easy. I met Ren out there. So it was kind of cool, you know.
Be sure to check out the History of Gangster Rap by Soren Baker. He's official.
History of Gangster Rap features exclusive interviews with Ice-T, Snoop Dogg, MC Ren, the D.O.C, and dozens of others. The History of Gangster Rap, a definitive look at how Los Angeles changed rap forever.
In Los Angeles, the streets definitely set the tone of the hip-hop music.
At 19, I got a $50,000 car.
My whole angle always was, I'll be street, but I will always tell you the horrors that go along with this life.
It would be penalties and casualties for just wearing the wrong color in somebody's neighborhood.
And once gangster rap made it from the streets to the TV, the genre exploded.
With Fab 5 on Yo MTV Raps with NWA.
Yo MTV, it just catapulted us from being local heroes to national gangbang rappers.
The History of Gangster Rap discusses it all from 1980 up till today.
It's always gonna be shit happening in the streets. You know what I mean? So it's always gonna be something to talk about.
The History of Gangster Rap in stores now.